At the time of recording this video, we've had a full 3 weeks to mess around with the new Aether Raids game mode introduced with update 2.11. For anyone not familiar with Aether Raids, it's the newest game mode introduced in Fire Emblem Heroes, and it has taken over the top left corner of the battle menu. This video will be my thoughts on the mode as a whole, and I'm not going to cover every aspect. These are just some of the things in the back of my mind as we've gotten to play Aether Raids a bit more. As a fair warning, there isn't going to be a lot going on visually, so feel free to put this on the background while you grind out some forging bonds or do some quests. Without further ado, let's first talk about what I think Aether Raids does right. The first thing I want to discuss are the structures, aka the various buildings that make Aether Raids unique. I think the structures are a good mechanic because they offer map variety and provide side objectives for you to take. Besides just adding inflated stats to increase difficulty, the various structures give players the ability to get creative with their custom maps. Speaking of map creation, I think this is an awesome feature for a game like Heroes. People love to customize things to stand out, and despite Heroes having an avatar character, the only way to stand out to others are either your showcased unit or your arena defense team. The ability to make essentially your own Grand Hero battle map in Aether Raids is a neat concept, and it's another way for players to showcase their own units as well as their strategy in making a challenging map. On the surface, creating your own maps is very cool, but it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and I'm going to come back to this topic later on in the video. Coming back to structures, I do like the fact that you have to make a decision when it comes to purchasing and upgrading them. Not everyone is going to have the same strategy, and so that means everyone will value each structure differently. Since you only get a limited amount of Aether Stones to purchase structures and upgrades, what you buy matters. If you want to focus on dealing large amounts of out of combat damage, you can upgrade the Bolt Trap or the Bolt Tower. If your strategy depends on keeping your team healthy, you can upgrade the Healing Tower. I like having options, and it adds to that feeling that this is my strategy and I'm going to make it work my way. A smaller feature that I really appreciate has to be team locking. This is such a great feature, and honestly I really hope we can just get something similar for regular arena defense teams. So the idea of saving builds for units isn't exactly new, because that's kind of what the skill set feature is supposed to be. Personally, I don't find myself utilizing skill sets, and I don't know why. They effectively do the same thing as team locking, since I can pull up a specific setup for a unit I'm using. Maybe it's just the way I organize my teams. I think I would just find it easier to lock my team from the edit team menu instead of getting everyone's skill ready individually. I'm actually curious if you guys utilize skill sets, because I feel like I may be the weird one out for not using them enough. The next thing that I really enjoy is the turn limit. Personally, I'm a big fan of this because it adds that extra pressure to every move you make. I also like it because it gives defense teams another win condition rather than just beat every unit on the challenger's team. Instead of making a team of death machines, you can actually include some stalling strategies, and this is something you generally won't see in Arena. Arena has devolved into high damage builds to 1-round KO the enemy. The 7-turn limit for the attacking team allows you to play the long game, and it lets builds that focus on survivability shine. Units like Saber with his new Golden Dagger Refine and Shield Pulse set could actually be useful here, and healers are of course very good at stalling. My concern for the 7-turn limit is when defense teams start having that 5th and 6th member. I don't think anyone can get 6 defense units just yet, but I have to imagine you will take longer to beat all 6 units than it will take to beat the normal 4. As for some things that I think aren't necessarily terrible, but I think a lot of people have issues with, let's first tackle the stamina problem. First off, if you're not aware, the Aether stamina system is on a scaling formula based on how much lift you currently have. At the start, this wasn't that bad because everyone had no lift points, and it was only 10 to 20 Aether to participate in a battle. Fast forward a couple weeks, and now it's costing people 30, 40, 50, 60 plus stamina just to do one battle. I think it's important to understand that this system is supposed to tie into the competitive ranking aspect of Aether Raids, and it emphasizes trying to destroy the Aether Pot and Aether Fountain to get stamina back for more runs. Just like the turn limit, it also adds a huge amount of pressure to win, and it does make victories feel really good, but it also makes defeats feel awful. So personally, I get why there is a stamina system like this in place, but I feel like the main issue is that players want to play more. It makes sense. If you like something, you want more. However, Aether Raids doesn't really allow you to get more, and that can be off-putting to a hungry player base. It's a very interesting problem because I feel like Heroes hands out stamina pots like crazy, and they even made all the tough content like Grand Hero battles cost 0 stamina. The lack of availability was also a problem for Arena, and they introduced Arena Assault as a solution to at least allow you to freely battle infinitely if you wanted. Will they do the same thing for Aether Raids? Since we haven't had any big changes to Aether Raids just yet, I think it's fair to wait and see what Intelligent Systems does in the coming updates. They are willing to make changes, and I guarantee they are aware people want to play more Aether Raid type battles. I think one thing that is a big problem is the lack of restrictions on what you can use in this mode. Everyone is aware of just how incredibly powerful dancers are, and I don't think Intelligent Systems has ever even put a dancer on a Grand Hero Battle or Legendary Hero map. There are new threats such as Veronica or Surtur too. I think for the sake of everyone's sanity as well as just general variety, they should limit defense and maybe even offense teams to one copy of a unit. The problem with a blanket ban like this is that you target people who are using 4 bar trays, each with unique fun builds. In reality, I don't think that's harmful, but it can be a problem with certain powerhouse units and even dancers. While I don't think they will ever limit you to one copy of a specific unit, I do think the one dancer limit is reasonable. The problem with competitive modes is that if a meta develops, then people are going to play the meta. That's what it is. It's an issue that doesn't really have a good solution because players will always abuse the most OP thing they can find. Now, I know I said that I like structures, and I really do. However, we have to talk about offense structures and how terrible they can feel to use sometimes. The fact that you can't move them around for each battle makes them heavily RNG dependent, and that means sometimes your structures are completely useless. For example, the tactics room is incredibly powerful, limiting low HP ranged units to only move one space. However, its one column size makes its effectiveness extremely random. If the enemy doesn't even have a pathway in the same column as the tactics room, then it's a literally useless structure. I think there should be the possibility of allowing you to move your offense structures in the same way we can reposition our units. This could be potentially too powerful for the attacker, but then my compromise would be to allow only 1 or 2 structure switches. It's tough to say how this would affect things, especially in the future if they introduce more structures. That said, personally, this is an aspect that I really hope receives some changes in the future. We talked about the good, we talked about the bad, and now it's time to talk about the ugly, aka the Reinhardt. Just like the Reinhardt, I want to discuss some topics that are equal parts good and equal parts bad, at least to me. First off, let's discuss bonus stats that come from either using bonus units or having your offense or defense fortress leveled up thanks to bonus structures. So bonus units, I think we know the main reason why they are a thing, to promote the newest banners and let people use their fresh new units with some extra firepower. By itself, I think the bonus unit system is okay. I just wish we could extend the list to a larger cast by now because we have so many lower tier units that go underused. In regards to the fortresses, these are structures that cannot be removed and they provide bonus stats if they are a higher level than the opponent's fortress. While the fortress can be upgraded directly if you use a bonus structure of the week, then they get an extra level. I think the fortresses are important to take note of because the free stats they grant can make a big difference. You get +4 to all stats for all your units if your fortress is 1 level higher than your enemy's fortress, 2 levels and that's +8 stats, which is very much an advantage. I think once you start getting into higher ranks, you have to keep the fortress levels close because the fortress bonus stats can stack with the bonus unit too. I've had battles where my bonus unit was getting +12 extra stats because they got the +4 just for being used, and then my fortress was 2 levels higher than the enemy. As I mentioned in my video from yesterday, when it's Surtur bonus week, battles are going to be very annoying. The next topic I want to discuss is the lack of BST penalties or just no arena scoring criteria in general. This has opened up an interesting dilemma. With no BST drawbacks, you are free to use healers, dancers, and range units rather than only melee armor units. The problem is that everyone is of course resorting to abusing the Reinhardt, Brave Lyn, and Brave Veronica. In regular arena, these ranged cavalry are generally seen less because their maximum scoring potential is just flat out lower. Without these restrictions, well, they are still very effective units. On one hand, I really like being able to use 3 mages if I want. My core offense team has literally been Ophelia destroying everyone with Special Spiral, and I don't have to worry about her not being a +10 or running around with all premium skills. It's a nice change of pace rather than using armor units or merge units just to get a higher score in arena. I think the problem with having to deal with annoying ranged cavalry threats leads into my last topic. My final talking point is the general casual versus competitive aspects of Fire Emblem Heroes. People play games for fun, right? Well, when you have a player versus player game mode, then someone wins and someone loses. Everyone wants to win because generally that's more fun and plus you get better rewards. Well, Aether Raids falls into the same category as Arena in that people who are playing to win are going to use the most annoying, most obnoxious units for their defense teams, such as Brave Lyn. That's not really anyone's fault, that's just the nature of competitive modes. I think it's fine to have competitive modes, but I can see it driving away people in the same way Arena does. Sure, I really want more heroic grails, but is it worth having the face, Force Surters, Brave Veronica, Brave Lynn, Wings of Mercy Dancers every match after match after match? Don't get me wrong, I think Aether Raids is fun. However, I don't think we needed another PvP environment for people to get salty in. I think that's just one of the major problems currently plaguing this game. Heroes is extremely casual friendly in that this game does not force you to play it 24/7. Building strong units takes very little time, and once you have a set build, the only way to progress is to either summon more, for better skills, or for more copies to merge. All PvE content is like 95% one and done, meaning once you beat it, you have almost zero reason to complete it again. Not to mention that because Fire Emblem Heroes is basically a puzzle game, once you or someone figures out a solution, it can be copied again and again. For someone who wants to keep playing and feeling like they are progressing, the only things left are Arena and Arena Assault for Arena Medals or Refining Stones. Aether Raids adds to this with the reward of Heroic Grails to get more reward units. That is probably my biggest concern with the mode down the line. For now, Aether Raids is new, it's cool, and it's something different, but will players want to come back to play it and actually enjoy it too? That's where I'm going to end this video. I didn't talk about every single aspect of Aether Raids, this was just some of my thoughts that have been floating around since the launch of the mode. Now, I would love to hear from you. Do you enjoy Aether Raids, and is there anything you would like to see changed? The mode is still young, and I'm sure Aether Raids will change in the future updates. For the moment, it has my general seal of approval. I enjoy the fights way more than regular arena, and I can actually get some defense wins here. My next video will be talking about my expectations for Update 3.0 and Book 3, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.